Hello students, today we are going to start a new chapter, crop production and management. As we know that all living organisms essentially require food for their existence. Early human beings started hunting animals and collecting fruits, flowers and roots of forest plants to meet their food requirements. Now food is required for growth, development and body repair. It also protects the body from diseases and provides energy for doing all the life functions. For example, you can say that food supplies proteins, carbohydrates and fats, vitamins, minerals and water to our body. Now, among all the living organisms, only green plants are known as autotrophs. That means they can make their own food. In contrast to green plants, animals and human beings are heterotrophs. That means they cannot make their own food and they depend upon the other plants and animals. Now, crops are plants which are cultivated by humans for food, fiber, flowers, timber, etc. There are about 2000 plant species which are cultivated for eating purposes. In order to provide food for a large population, regular production, proper management and distribution of food is necessary. Now till 10,000 BC, people were nomadic. That means they were wandering in groups from here and there for the search of food and shelter. They ate raw fruits and vegetables and started hunting for animals for food. And later on they started cultivating the land and they produced rice, wheat and other food crops. So we can say that the agriculture was born. Now when plants of the same plants are grown and cultivated at one place on a large scale, we call it as a crop. Crop of wheat means that all the plants grown in a field are that of wheat. We know that the crops are of different types like the cereals, vegetables and fruits. Now different crops require different climatic conditions like temperature, photoperiod of their growth and the maturity. And sunlight is required for the photosynthesis, that is the process of manufacturing food by the green plants. In India, there are two main seasons of crop growth, that is Kharif and Rabi. Now, Kharif crops, these crops grow during rainy season, that is from June to October. They are also known as summer season crops. The chief Kharif crops are the cereals and pulses, paddy, rice, maize, millet, groundnut, soybean and etc. Vegetables of Kharif crops are spinach, gourd, garlic, lady's finger, pumpkin and brinjal. Now the fruits of Kharif crops are watermelon, mango, lychee, plum, etc. The next comes the Rabi crop. Now these crops are grown from November to April. The Rabi crops are called the winter crops. And the important Rabi crops are cereals and pulses, which are the wheat, barley, gram, mustard, pea and the linseeds. Vegetables of Rabi crop are cabbage, cauliflower, carrot, radish, turnip, beans, etc. Now, cultivation of crops involves several activities undertaken by the farmers over a period of time. We may find that these activities are similar to those carried out by us when we grow plants at our home. We take soil, we irrigate it, we choose the better quality of seeds and then we grow the plants. So these various activities are referred to as agricultural practices. Now these activities are listed, which are known as preparation of soil, sowing, adding manure and fertilizers, irrigation, protecting from weeds, harvesting and storage. Now the preparation of soil is the first step before growing a crop. One of the most important tasks in agriculture is to turn the soil and loosen it. This allows the root to penetrate deep into the soil. Loose soil always allows the root to breathe easily even they go deep into the soil. Now this loosened soil helps in the growth of earthworms and microbes present in the soil. As we know that the earthworms are also known as the farmer's friend. Why they are known as the farmer's friend? Because they add humus to the soil. We have learned in the previous class that the soil contains minerals, water, air and some living organisms. Now in addition, dead plants and animals get decomposed by soil organisms. In this way, various nutrients held in the dead organisms are released back into the soil. These nutrients are again absorbed by the plants. Now, since only a few centimeters of the top layer of soil supports the plant growth, turning and loosening of soil bring the nutrient-rich soil to the top so that the plants can use these nutrients. And this turning and loosening of soil is very important for the cultivation of crops. This process of loosening and turning of soil is known as ploughing, and it is also known as tilling, and this is done by wood or iron. In the screen you can see two pictures are given. One is the traditional method by which we can plough the field, and another one is the advanced method how we can plough the field. Next is the selection of seeds and sowing. The selection of seed is very important because before sowing we need to choose the best quality of the seeds. Whether it can give a good quality of plants or not, we have to see that one. Whether it is, you can say that it is affected by any insects or any other things, germs. So after selection we have to sow it. Now in the screen you can see there are the two methods are shown. One is the traditional method and another one is the advanced method. In a traditional method you can see how the people use the hoe to do the sowing process, and the second one is the seed drill. Now here comes the adding of manures and fertilizers. Then what is manure? Manures are the natural fertilizers. They are bulky sources of organic matter which supply nutrients in small quantities. The organic matter in large quantities. Manures are prepared by the decomposed animal excreta and plants waste. And the advantages of manures are there that they help to enrich the soil with the nutrients. It replenishes the general deficiency of the nutrients in the soil, and it contains less nutrients. Since the manures contains the less nutrients, they need to be used in large quantities. But in case of fertilizers, the fertilizers provide plant nutrients commercially. The manufactured use chemicals like nitrogen. Fertilizers supply nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. They are used for good vegetative growth also. Now the common fertilizers are the nitrogenous fertilizers, the phosphatic fertilizers, the potash fertilizers and the complex fertilizers. Now the fertilizers should be applied scientifically in terms of proper dose, time, pre and post application, precaution for their complete utilization. For example, sometimes due to excessive water, fertilizer get washed away and do not get fully absorbed by the plants. So the fertilizers generally get washed off through the irrigation, rainfall as drainage and pollute the river, lakes, streams, etc. The next is the irrigation. The sources of irrigations are wells, tube wells, ponds, lakes, rivers, dams and canals. Now the crop plants get water from the soil. As we know that the soil obtains water from rain. However, the sufficient rain is not always available, so therefore soil is not able to supply sufficient water to crops. The extra water required by the crop is made through irrigation. The process of supplying water to crop plants by means of canals, wells, reservoirs, tube well, etc. is known as irrigation. Now there are some advantages of irrigation. The crop plants are irrigated with the fresh water to supply two essential elements to them, that is the hydrogen and oxygen. Both of these elements are present in water molecules and are necessary for growth and development of crop plants. Now irrigation of crop field is necessary to provide sufficient moisture for the germination of seeds, as seeds do not germinate in dry soils. We all know that. Now this irrigation of crop plants is essential for the growth and elongation of the roots of the crop plants also. This is because the roots of crop plants fail to develop and elongate in dry soil. Now irrigation is necessary to increase the number of the aerial branches also in the crop plant so as to get a good crop yield. It is also essential for the absorption of the nutrient elements by the crop plants from the soil. The irrigation water tends to dissolve the nutrient present in the soil of a crop field to form a solution. And this solution of nutrient is then absorbed by the roots of the crops of the developed of the plants, which are there deep into the soil. You can see the traditional method of irrigation, which is done by the moat, the chain pump, Dhekli and Rahat, that is the lever systems. And the pumps are commonly used for the lifting water, diesel, biogas, electricity and solar energy is used to run these pumps. Now the sprinkle irrigation system, which has been introduced in canal irrigated areas of Haryana, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. And the drip irrigation system is been encouraged in Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Orissa and Tamil Nadu for the fruit crops. Next is protection from weeds. As we know that the weeds are the unwanted plants in the cultivated field. That means, in other words, we can say that the plants other than crops are the weeds. So the weeds tend to compete with the crops for food, that is for water and nutrients, space and light. Now in comparison of cultivated crops, the seeds of weeds germinate very easily, their seedlings grow faster, they flower early, their seed production begins after a short growth period and they produce a large number of seeds. So in fact we can say that the weeds take up all the nutrients and reduce the growth of the crop in various ways. Therefore, the removal of wheat plants from cultivated field in early stage of crop is very essential to harvest. It is high input returns in the terms of high yield. In unirrigated condition, weeds affect the water availability, and in irrigated condition there is a competition for the nutrition. Now there are the various methods of the weed control, like the mechanical methods, the cultural methods and the chemical methods and the biological methods. Under mechanical methods, we can uproot the weeds by ploughing, by burning and flooding. Under cultural methods, we can make the proper bed preparation, the timely sowing of crops, intercropping and crop rotations. Under chemical methods, we can use the weed killers like the herbicides and the weedicides. Some examples are the 2,4-D, that means 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid. Another one is the atrazine, like this. Other way is the biological control. Biological control of weed involves the deliberate use of the insects or some other organism which can consume specifically and destroy the weed plants. Okay. Next is harvesting. In the screen you can see there are two pictures given. One is the sickle and another one is the combine. The sickle is the traditional way by which the farmers used to harvest the crops. Now combine is a new method by which the harvesting process is done and it takes very less time to harvest. Next is the winnowing. Winnowing is the process by which the grains are separated from the chaff. You can see the winnowing machine in the screen. Next comes the storage. Now in case of storage, the grains are stored in the silos as well as in the granaries. Now some biotic and abiotic factors which cause the destruction of grains during the storage, which can be prevented and controlled by the following methods like the drying, cleaning, safe and proper storage, chemical control, fumigations. Now while drying, at the time of harvesting of the crop, the moisture content in grains is you can say near about 15 to 35%. But for the safe storage, the seeds and grains should have moisture content below 14%. So the step of drying of grains is a vital preventive measures. So the harvested food grains should be dried by spreading them over the plastic sheet or on a cemented floor. Or it can, on a commercial basis, it can be dried by the mechanical dryer with the hot air. Next comes the cleaning. The grains and the other agriculture produce should be properly cleaned before their storage. They should be filled in a new gunny bags before keeping in godowns, warehouses or the stores. Now, under the safe and proper storage, the godown, warehouses and stores should be properly cleaned, dried and repaired. For the large scale storage of grains, the grain silos, which you can see on the screen, the silos, what are these? These are the big and tall cylindrical structures. They store different stocks of food items at different levels. The silos are provided with outlets at different levels to withdraw the desired stock of grains. They have built-in arrangement of aeration, temperature control, protection from the insects, rats, birds, and the mammals for fumigation and inspection for their grain stock. Next comes the chemical control, where we use the pesticide solutions. We spray over the gunny bags containing food grains by using the manual sprayer or a mechanical sprayer. The spraying of pesticide is more suitable for disinfecting the whole godown before the arrival of the fresh stock of grains. BHC, that is the benzene hexachloride, then you can use the malathion, etc. These are the following pesticides which can be sprayed. Next comes the fumigation. So those pesticides which can destroy insects by forming toxic fumes are called fumigants, and process of their use is called fumigations. Now under fumigation, we can say that the fumigation may be of solid, liquid or gas. Okay, so we can fumigate the substances in a very good way. So what we have learned till yet, in order to provide food to our growing population, we need to adapt certain agriculture practices. Same kind of plants grown and cultivated at a place constitute a crop. In India, crops can be broadly categorized into two types based on seasons, that is Rabi and Kharif crops. It is necessary to prepare soil by tilling and leveling. Plows and levelers are used for this purpose. Sowing of seeds at appropriate depths and distances gives good idea. Good variety of seeds are shown after selection of healthy seeds. Sowing is done by the seed drills, and soil needs replenishment and enrichment through the use of organic manure and fertilizers. The use of chemical fertilizers has increased tremendously with the introduction of the new crops varieties. The supply of water to crops at appropriate interval is called irrigation. And weeding involves the removal of unwanted and uncultivated plants called weeds. Harvesting is the cutting of the mature crop manually or by machines. Separation of the grains from the chaff is called threshing. So proper storage of grain is necessary to protect them from pest and microorganisms. So what are the keywords we have learned from this chapter? Like agriculture practices, then sowing, replenishment, irrigation, weeding, harvesting, then we can say the Rabi crops, Kharif crops. So there are many more keywords which you will come across while reading this chapter. So till yet we have discussed all the keywords. Now I think that you have understood the chapter very nicely. If you have any problem anywhere, you can write it down in the comment box. Thank you for watching.